that these two individuals was literally reflecting my feminine within myself, let alone the masculine and anger that I had programmed them and emitted to them. Emitted and emit meaning the emitting of my energy, my presence, of my anger. There was a lot of anger within my vessel. I don't know if it was just because of my childhood at this present time, or it could have been from priors too, but there was a lot of anger. And for a long time, my relationship with my partner was well because she did what she wanted to a certain extent, and I did pretty much whatever I wanted. To a certain extent, I always knew that I had a responsibility that I had to come back and check home into my family and stuff. But I was pretty much a free individual. But when this energy presence came back in, it's almost like all these emotions came out of me that were unexpected. And because of my illness, because of the stuff that I went to, I started being more around the house. I had to deal with being around her more often. And then having to deal with all this mirror, and judgment and pointing the finger and causing triggers and not understanding what all this stuff was. But as it was happening, I was being shown these messages and what I was doing, what I was causing, and how to eliminate it. And it's a process, because you get the message. Sometimes people call you, and it's funny because the word comes up, hypocrite. And, a lot of times, a lot of individuals right now are in the process of waking up, understanding, and we're sharing some of the information that we're receiving as fast as we're getting it. A lot of people are not ready for this information. So as we start talking that or sharing this, for me, it was sharing it with my family. One of the first things that we're doing is programming ourselves to start changing. So by us telling ourselves or telling people around us, we're just subconsciously trying to change within ourselves. So as I was sharing information with them, I was triggering them. And as I was triggering them, I was being shown those negative aspects of myself, of my feminine part of myself, or if it was the masculine part of myself. And learning to be more compassionate, understanding, and reprogramming my outcome. Today, I am living proof of there is multi-realities that we're aware of here living on the planet today. And I'm shifting back and forth. And when I could shift in one reality, for example, where I'm dealing with my wife, where she could be more, and we'll use this word annoying, just going at it, getting on my case for one reason or another. And then I could shift literally within minutes, if not hours or even a day later, and be in a whole nother reality where the individual's more understanding, more in the flow, more in synchronistic with me. And I'll go in there and try to share something of what we've gone through, because I'm still caught up in letting go of certain things or old beliefs at times. And I'll ask her something about an argument we had a week ago. She won't have no thought, no remembrance, nothing regarding that, because we're all moving into our own realities as we're shifting. The divine feminine, the divine masculine is two different energies, but it's one. And when we unite those two energies as one, what happens is we're literally shifting our whole reality, our own personal reality, and moving into that what we call heaven on earth. It's not that it's a heaven on earth, it's heaven in your own reality, your own creation. Everything outside of us it's just a reflection of what we are. And as we balance the feminine and the masculine energy within ourselves, we start shifting our realities into what comes to mind is our eyes. Our eyes are projectors as much as they are receivers. And most people don't realize that everything outside of us is just energy. And then what happens is when we have a program or whatever, our eyes send the program out to this energy, and we receive whatever we're emitting. So for example, I'll share this real simple because this is what's coming. A dry riverbed, and you're worried about the dry river, and you want to go complain because, or protest because they're blocking the dry river. But the universe is only showing you that dry river because there's a reason. There's an illness within yourself, and that illness is, lack of blood flow through your arteries, because maybe of your blockages of what you're eating or being. So the universe started showing me that as I cleared out some of my blockages and cleared out some of the stuff, the energy started flowing through my body a lot easier, which brought balance back into my body. So as I started noticing everything outside of me was literally a reflection of what was going on within my own vessel. I started noticing that the only drought that was outside of my body, that I seen dry lake bed, dry rivers at my reality, was literally, I wasn't drinking water. I was dry. And it's mind blowing because people say, I still hear people talking about, the drought and this and that. And I've had so much rain in my area, and every place I go, it rains, and a lot of the lakes that I see are filled. Now, I know it's not just the cause of me. I know there's a lot of people doing work, but I know it's happening when I'm around. I know a lot of people are praying. A lot of people are setting their intentions. But this is how we come together. It's how I've been guided to work with others. And the more we bring balance to the feminine and masculine energy within our bodies, we're able to because we're creating. So my biggest mission in life right now is I'm being guided is my awareness. What I automatically do if these individuals are a program regarding a negative reality they're in, I shift and just focus on the positive outcome of anything, and then watch myself move into those realities where those scenarios are actually happening. And I'll give you a perfect example. I mean, we call it creating in 3D reality, but you can't create in the 3D reality. It's not possible. But I'll drive by a neighborhood and see a empty lot full of trash coming off, the corners and stuff. And a lot of people think that it's up to me, or I'm the one that's supposed to get out there and make the change and get up there and pick up the trash. Yes, if I'm walking and I'm in that area and I feel guided to, yeah, of course. But our main purpose here, as the individuals that are watching these videos right here, right now, living in the now, our purpose are to be creators. Plain and simple. We're here to create. We're here to bring feminine and masculine energy, balance that energy within our bodies, and be creators. So as we bring those balances of the feminine and masculine energy, what happens is we're able to create a lot easier the things that are going on around us. Every scenario, doesn't matter if it's a court or whatever's happening outside of us. So and you're involved. So for example, I was guided at this present time was to clean up that neighborhood, that corner. So what I was shown was, Richard, set your intentions, create what you want. So I did. I envisioned an individual being compassionate for that corner, getting a bunch of individuals to volunteer. And then within 2 weeks that I drove by that corner again, I don't know who cleaned it up. I honestly don't know. But that corner was clean. And it's all comes from the energy. We remember the abilities that we have with ourselves. Every time we clear that shadow aspect of our partners, it doesn't matter if it's an individual, your coworker, your boss, anything that you hate or something that conflicts with your wishes or expectations, needs or wants, is literally a catalyst for your letting go. And these individuals that are coming into our lives right now, all it is to show us what we were, how would I say, what subconsciously is hurting us or preventing us from raising our frequency within our vessels. And for example, your wife comes up and tells you, or your girlfriend comes and tells you this thing and it bothers you, and you're like, why is this bothering me? Is this something that I'm causing? Am I emitting this from my body? Or is it subconsciously something that was programmed within me when I was a child? A lot of it could be childhood stuff. And 9 times out of 10, that's one of the reasons I explained to my wife. I said, it's not you. I understand it's not you. It's something that bothers me as from my childhood. And I didn't have a childhood. So to me, one of my biggest things that bothered me a lot was neglect. So anytime somebody pulled away or turned away, I would snap. It was very difficult at times to learn to let go of that from a feminine point of view, because I was in my feminine state and it hurted. I mean, it hurted a lot to be neglected. And, I was left alone when I was a child and having to remember all that stuff. But if she wouldn't have done that, I would never remember my childhood. And it brought up a lot of memories as I started clearing these things out. And what happens is it brought balance. I had to heal that child part within myself. And even, you could feel my voice feels a little, I can feel it. But I know this now. So when that happens now, or if it pops up, I'm aware of it. I'm able to stay balanced, not allow it to unbalance me and take me out of a situation. So today, most spiritual individuals that are on these conference calls or that are gathered onto these places, one of our biggest jobs today for all of us here and now are to learn to clear or remember to clear that stuff out, because it's very important for us as we're communicating to others that we're not emitting these imbalancing frequencies within ourselves. And emitting them into the groups or the collective who's listening to these videos. And it's one of the reasons why I don't show my face a lot. Right now, I've been working with Doran for almost 2 years, I think. And my main goal is to stay grounded, raise the frequencies, and do as much shadow work clearing so I'm able to hold space, bring timelines together, dimensions, all the different frequencies, and bring balance within those frequencies. Because as we work together, we're able to bring balances in a lot of the different frequencies, which, again, the feminine and masculine part of that. And it helps raise the consciousness for us to all be better aware. Any questions? Thank you.
Got any questions? Or next question.
Anybody?
So, Rich, why don't you talk a little bit about, you were talking about when people were being triggered by you or you were being triggered by people during your awakening time, that you were noticing it was some sort of imbalance with you in yourself that was being created by this. So why don't you share with everybody like some of the tools that you were using to clear those imbalances, or find ways through the triggers to come back to be present with yourself?
Well, one of the first things that I had to realize is the presence of energy within my vessel and how much my aura. I unlocked some unique things within my vessel, which literally blew me up. And I was in everybody's field and everybody was in my field, and I didn't know what that was, So one of the first things I had to realize is to bring my energy field closer to myself, to my vessel, because everything around me was affecting me, because I was so in tune or in touch, I guess, with everything else. And at the same time, I was triggering everything that was going on around me. I could just say hi to an individual, and because I had that anger, frustration, whatever in my energy, it would instantaneously cause a trigger or a negative reaction. And when I seen people react, it would cause me to react. So it would cause me to blow up. So a few things that I had to learn to do was to bring my energy field down. I had, as I was, everything I learned came pretty much directly from source, the universe. Don't get me wrong, I read a lot of stuff. Well, not read, listened to a lot of stuff online. But the images, everything I was shown through direct from source. It's not something I never took classes. I never had a teacher or something to teach me something specific. The universe showed me things. I didn't know how to read. I would say I started learning how to read when I started going through the transformation more than ever. And it was the last 5-6 years. So as I started, universe was sending me a lot of stuff through the internet. I was just articles and stuff like that, YouTube. And I brought certain individuals across my path. And then the universe showed me a piece of everything. And then it helped me align all the different pieces and to build this process within myself, or this steps, I would say, of figuring things out, or I would just say a number of steps to get better grounded, better balanced. So as I started taking these steps, I was noticing that my grounding was very off. And I couldn't understand that, why certain things would always work and other parts wouldn't. And I had to go see somebody that knew about chakras. And I was doing all this grounding work and I was very out of balance and I couldn't understand why. Well, my root chakra had blockages. Put it this way, I don't even think I was ever really, my root chakra was never really working. My higher self was. My higher self was grounded and kept me grounded and kept me moving it. But my root and my solar plexus were giving me a lot of issues, but mainly my root. My solar plexus was working, my root wasn't. And I was having a lot of arguments with people and a lot of conflict. People weren't listening. And again, I wasn't listening to people. And I kept running into these spiritual individuals and people were just snapping at me. I mean, just snapping, calling me a liar, calling me this. I didn't know what I was talking about, et cetera, et cetera. And I didn't know what it was. And finally, I went to go see this. And I'm talking about 4 years into my process of awakening. And I was doing all this work and Spirit is telling me everything's working the way it's supposed to, but down here, I was having a lot of miscommunication and I could not understand why. And that ground was so important in my life because when we're running so much energy and we're not grounded, what happens is there's so much information being shared with us. Some of this information is 6 months down the line, a year down the line. But because we're not grounded, all this information, we tend to move on it and we want to speed up the process. And some of us, because we are doing the shadow work, because we are doing the clearing, we're light years ahead of most people. So there's a lot of sometimes conflict when you're trying to share certain information. This is the stuff I was running into. So I started running into a lot of older individuals, spiritual individuals, and I have information I'm sharing with them and they're calling me a liar. Well, it's because I'm not grounded. And if you're grounded, you're guided not to speak. You're guided to be present. And when you're present, then something will happen to get you to speak or talk or whatever, and you share your information. That person's guided to you or they're interested. And before, I was always too quick to talk, too quick to share the information I was getting. And it's funny because I asked the universe, I said, hey, I got all this information. I'm all happy. Let me go share it. I want to go share all this. I need the money and everything. And the universe gave me ridiculous amount of money. I didn't have to work on my business for a whole month. And I was just, I pretty much just let it go. I was like, I didn't care. The universe just gave me this money. I said, I'm going to go tell the whole world what I know. And as soon as I started doing it, the backlash, it kind of broke me down. I was so broken down, and I wanted to go to a corner and cry. It's just, well, I did probably, but now that I remember, and I couldn't understand what happened. And it was all because of my grounding, the lack of grounding. And I had good information, I had good knowledge, but I was trying to share it with individuals that weren't open or ready. And this information that I had was to bring balance within individuals and to show that these frequencies were here within me now, but they were unbalanced, they were chaotic, they were unstable, powerful, but unstable. So as I learned to move forward, I learned to ground. Then the universe started bringing different individuals, different reasons, different ways of grounding, and then showed me a way for me to ground because of the energy that I was running through my body. And I was shown all these steps, and I've been doing a lot of energy work and grounding for the collective. And a lot of these conference calls, I'm guided to be on them just for that reason, to assist in the grounding and bringing frequencies in and assisting with the balance. Because there is a lot of high, powerful individuals here and now. And we've all been doing work in different areas. And as we bring our collective together, we raise the consciousness within the group. Because just within our voices, we're bringing balance within each other as we're listening. And especially, I know, because the two angels that are coming out of my voice, and I have two, they're doing a lot of work with every individual that's here and now, and anyone that's in the future listening to this tape or video will assist with balance within your vessel. The frequencies that I'm here to carry is to bring remembrance back to who you are. So as you ground, if you haven't grounded, when you do and you're listening to this, just set the intentions. You are part of it. You are it. And you will be here like the rest of us. All it takes is an intention. Because you got very, very powerful individuals here today. Amazing, amazing individuals. And if you ever feel ungrounded, unbalanced, just remember, I am rich. Take that deep breath and then just hold it and let it go. And just feel yourself grounded. Know that you are. Know that you are. Know that you always will be. No matter what. Remember, no one teaches you or tells you to make your heart beat. No one tells you to breathe. All you got to do is remember that you are always grounded. that you are always taking those deep breaths, and that you're always present in the now, and you will be. Because you're only seeing yourself.
Beautiful. Thank you, Rich.
You're welcome, my brother. Brothers and sisters. So, I mean, this presence of energy, we all have it. We all carry it. It's just a matter of letting go. Let go of the stuff that we're carrying and move into those energies. And just know that every time you let go, every time you have that conflict with that individual across you, when you have and you spoke your truth, because the only reason you have a conflict too is because you're probably holding something in. Speak your truth. Learning how to speak your truth is the important part. Remembering how to speak your truth is the important part. Because we all can speak our truth, but the problem is how we speak it is how we're going to get the reflection back. So for a lot of us right here, you got to remember, you've done a lot of clearing, and some of your partners are not awake. The ones that are, good, but the ones that are not, remember this thing. It doesn't necessarily mean your girlfriend or your wife. It could be anybody. It could be your kids. It could be, you know, coworker, etc. The difference between you being awake and that person that's not is your energy, because you're here and now, and just the simple fact that you're listening to my voice, your energy is 10 to 100 times greater than theirs when you're talking to them. So even if you talk to them with an agitation, this is one of my biggest frustrations that I had, was I was always frustrated with ignorance. So when I talked to people, and as soon as I heard the ignorance come out, the agitation would be in my energy field. So as soon as I would say something, you would hear the yells coming back. Because my energy is so strong, it came back as yells. Or people would tell me, why are you yelling at me? And I would like, I'm not yelling. I'm just talking. But that agitation, the tailwind, the frustration, the anger that you're holding on to, whatever, it's emitting. And the universe was telling me, was throwing it back. So I ain't gonna lie, the last 2 years, and mainly the last year, I haven't really gone out because I was causing so much. And this is where my wife and son comes in, because this is where I was shown that until I get past them, then I could really start dealing with the mass public, because I don't want to be emitting anything that shouldn't be emitted right now, because then it comes back to me as heavy. I mean, it comes back heavy. That's all I can say. And the universe doesn't want to open any abilities or any gifts on anybody if you still haven't controlled your emotions. Just imagine what you can do. You could literally take out a neighborhood if you reacted to something. And it's very important for us to be able to hold balance. You imagine I walk out right now and start talking to somebody that's going to trigger me. No, it won't happen. The universe won't allow it. And it's very important. And it's one of the reasons why some of us get stuck in this, I'll call it a Groundhog Day. I don't know if you guys remember that movie where the days keep repeating. Well, it's not that the days are repeating they are repeating for us, but we're just repeating that same scenario over. And I'm pretty sure a lot of people has been stuck in that right now recently, on repeating and repeating and repeating things. And it's because of that. Especially if you're awake and you've been fighting the shadow work or for whatever, it just keeps throwing it at you until you deal with it. And if you're not dealing with it, it's going to push you to a corner where it blows up, and you have to clear it right there and then. Because I've been put in some of those situations in these last 5 years, but I chose that. When I went through it and I woke up on 11/11/11, I literally asked the universe, I said, let's do it full speed, whatever it takes. And I ain't lying, I've been in bed a big portion of that time, being that I'm an older individual. And the older we are, I say people over 35, our bodies have to purge. because our bodies can't handle a lot of the high-end frequencies, and our bodies have to clear. So what I went through these last 5 years, I know a lot of older individuals are going to start going into, when they're doing their shadow work and letting go, they're going to be going through a lot of body transformations. So their vessels can handle the high frequencies. Because a lot of us that were born in the 40s plus only were born with the regular DNA strands. And to be able to do the things that we're capable of doing, there's a lot more DNA strands within our vessel. The new children have it. They're born automatically with all the DNA structure. So all it takes is for a child to come around me and their DNA is activated. The adults, they have to go through the transformation and letting go to bring balance within their feminine and masculine part of their body, so they could raise their frequencies. Thank you. Anything on that aspect?
I'm just here. I'm just open. It's just day one of this divine masculine feminine rising, and you throw a group of individuals together in a room, and then it's like, who's the moderator? Who's the panelist? Who's what are the questions? What are we doing here?
Pretty much. You know, I mean, there's so many aspects of it. I mean, all of it has to do with feminine or masculine, no matter what part of your growth you're in, you know. It's honestly, you could surrender, let go, and just to, or whatever, that's the word that's coming to mind right now. Because when I woke up, I went automatically. That guidance, I went to a class. I think it was a reading of cards, and the person had a dream about me the before. So reading, I was flipped over. Individual, another classmate, and they did the reading, and that person did the reading for me, and it was all regarding death. And a lot of into
Is Kieran still here? And Micaiah, what do you have? Do you have anything?
I was also just taking in everything Rich was saying there. It's had a good stream of consciousness going on.
Nice.
I'm back.
Welcome back.
Yeah,
Don't know what happened there.
we have live shows every day with the Source, and Richard comes on almost every show. I am Rich, and we have these amazing conversations just like this every day on all of our shows, and it just flows. The Destiny set it up to be a panel, meditation by Micaiah, and then panel. And I'm like in the hosting role, but then I'm like, you know, Micaiah, are you leading the panel? Should I lead the panel? Who's asking questions? Who's I don't know. Yeah. And how much longer we want to go? We got 2 more days.
Don't remember where I was at. You know, I go blank. But yeah, I just got kicked off for one reason or another.
All good. All good, all good. Yeah, what comes up for me is it's just all about balancing our own energies and going through the shifts, the the transformations over and over and over, because we're doing our inner work, and we're integrating with whoever that being is that's in front of us, that's placed in front of us, that will help us on our process to become the creator that we are, our highest selves, Father Sky and Mother Earth, our highest selves, and the integration of the two. Yeah. So I know I've done my work and continually, and we continue to do it each and every day. And it's just beautiful to see all of us together in this space. We wouldn't be here if we weren't doing our work, to be able to show up in this way together and bring through such energies and guidance for the collective, for everyone out there. We've got, I think, 4,000 views already on this first day with the summit. Yeah, it's just beautiful what we're all doing, who we are all being here now, completing paradise on earth and beyond. I love Micaiah. Micaiah, I love your meditations and your wisdoms that you bring through. And it's really hilarious to me that Rich is you created this healing technology called Rich. So you want to review that again? Because I would love to hear that again.
Sure, we can definitely talk about that. So when it was interesting, Rich, when you're talking about becoming triggered, and then having all your stuff come up and having to work through it, because my story is I've channeled many systems of healing, kind of like you, just directly from source. And my business partner and I channeled a system called Accelerated Light Healing, where we have an intuitive counseling tool called Rich, which we use to clear out limiting beliefs and stuck, painful, heavy, dense emotions, kind of bring back to people creating happiness. So Rich stands for, from my perspective, release, integrate, clear, and harmonize. So what we're doing is releasing and clearing all the heavy, dense, stuck energies of thoughts, feelings, emotions, lies, stories, limitations, judgments, and conclusions. Releasing and clearing them from your physical body, releasing and clearing them from your energy field. Boom. So they're gone. And, many energy healers are really good at clearing and releasing things. But the problem is what about the space that's left over then? What is supposed to be there? Well, the integrate function of Rich, the I, integrates any parts and pieces of you that you either lost, left behind, that flew away, you pushed away, or denied whenever you experience trauma, this lifetime or any other lifetime in reality. We are bringing that energy of you back and integrating it into present time. Shamans call that soul retrieval, and we do have longer soul retrieval processes in Accelerated Light, but it's just a really quick way to bring those soul parts back. We're also integrating any awarenesses you were unwilling to be aware of whenever you experience trauma, this lifetime or any other lifetime in reality, because you, as an infinite being, are infinitely aware of everything, past, present, and future. And if you're willing to be that aware, you probably wouldn't step into a traumatic situation knowingly. You probably wouldn't get in your car and drive to the grocery store if you knew you were going to get in a car accident. You probably wouldn't get into a relationship with somebody if you knew it was going to end the same way in a burning spiral downwards towards destruction. But why does this happen? Well, we have these limiting beliefs and these painful, heavy, dense, stuck emotions that literally create walls energetically. And infinite consciousness is infinitely expanding. And you as an infinite being are infinitely expanding, except when you have these walls of beliefs and emotions, you're infinitely expanding, infinitely expanding, infinitely expanding. Boom, you come up against this wall. And it creates resistance in your life. Except infinite consciousness is always infinitely expanding. So it's trying to pull you through this wall and pull you through this wall and show you that this wall is just an illusion that you created. So it's going to try to get your attention. And the first time it does that, it's going to be a little feather on the cheek, like, hey, you should get this. And if you don't get it, the next time it's going to be like a little tap, like, hey, you better get this. And then it's going to be a slap, hey, you better get this, and a punch. And it's going to keep getting more and more and more intense in your life until you get it. Or you choose to die and then have to come back to the earth plane and do it all over again until you get it. So the other part of the integrate function is to integrate those awarenesses so you don't have to keep repeating the patterns of your life over and over and over again. You just get it instantly.
Right.
And then the H stands for harmonize. So we're harmonizing all the energetic bodies and physical body to vibrate at that new higher level instantly and effortlessly. When I started studying energy healing, it was Reiki, and my teacher was like, you're going to get healing, you're going to feel amazing, you're going to bliss out, and then you're probably going to get sick for 3 days while your physical body catches up to your new spiritual vibration. I was like, I don't want to get sick for 3 days. That doesn't sound very fun. Why would I want to go get a healing if I was going to get sick right afterwards? But that was the quickest way we knew how to do things back then, 12-ish years ago. So the harmonized function, Rich, harmonizes your physical body and energetic body to vibrate at that new higher level instantly, so you don't have to have a healing crisis afterwards. And this is how it works. So anytime you get triggered, and really anytime you have any thought or feeling at all, it can be really helpful to clear it out with the Rich tool, so you come back into your presence, come back into just being, rather than thinking and calculating and stressing out about what's going to happen or what will happen or what won't happen or how people are going to perceive me, blah, 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 blah. So let's take an example here. So everywhere you're in resistance of how other people are going to respond to your truth. You were talking about speaking your truth, Rich, a little bit earlier. So everywhere you're in resistance of how people are going to respond to you speaking your truth. Everything, all that is, Rich. Just take a deep breath in. Notice what you're experiencing in your body. Most people say they feel lighter, more expansive, like it's easier to breathe. And it's just that simple. You just address whatever it is that you want to clear. You clear it out with Rich. So some sample ways you can use this. Everything I've decided about blank, Rich. Everything that allows me to be affected by blank, Rich. Everything that makes me think this, Rich. So when you come into those places where you are getting triggered, you can just say everything that's coming up for me right now, Rich. Because here's the thing. You are getting triggered for a reason. That is not disputable in my head. But the reason for that is so you can uncover all the lies and limitations that you've taken on and decide are real, so you can release them and clear them, and then you can step into more of your infinite self in every moment, and also into infinite being and infinite receiving, which is your natural state. So whenever you find yourself triggered, just clear it out with Rich. Everything that's coming up for me right now, Rich. And that gets rid of all those stories like my dad yelled at me when I was 5, and my girlfriend broke up with me when I was 15, and these are all the things that I made that mean about me. And now it's coming up in my relationship because we're having a fight. When you clear out all that past trauma, you can actually be present with what really is. And does this fight actually matter? Are my boundaries being crossed? Does something need to change? Or is it just that I'm replaying Groundhog's Day, as you said, Rich? Am I replaying the scenario over and over and over again? And it's just coming up to finally be released.
Oh, yeah. Trust me, the stuff that they put me through was like, whoa, I had to figure things out the hard way.
Totally.
But again, I put myself through that because of my mission here, so I'm very grateful. People, my dad he couldn't understand when I walked up to him and I shook his hand, and he's like, why are you shaking your hand? I'm like, I said, thank you for exactly being the way you were, because it made me who I am today. It made me make certain decisions, I used to have so much anger towards, a lot of family members and situations around me, but the gratitude to all that stuff that happened to me made me a better person now that I became aware of it and was able to let it go.
Totally.
And not holding on to that stuff, because people don't realize that an old trauma, an old hate, an old etc. prevents us from moving forward, doesn't allow certain frequencies to enter our body. So as we let these things go and literally forgive them, forgive ourselves, it's very important. let alone to forgive ourselves because there's so much stuff that we've done unintentionally, not being aware that we were doing it. So learning to forgive ourselves actually helps with moving forward with the process of the feminine and masculine energies too, because that is a big part, is learning to forgive and stop kicking ourselves when we do something wrong. Just know that everything that you've ever done, it's meant to be. Anybody, I don't care who you are, you've never done anything wrong. There was an outcome, an experience that we were all here to experience. And people don't realize that some of these fears and doubts, when we go through these experiences, and then we end up at this roadblock, this fear or the stump, this where we're stumped, like literally blocked. The whole purpose we ended up at that point was to get past it, so we could reach the abundance on the other side. That is our limitation, as we clear out that shadow part, is we keep entering another form of abundance, another area of abundance. Because, rich to me is abundance in all areas of life, not just, in wealth, money. But for example, for me today, just a simple fact of having individuals that are willing and open to listen to my conversations, where, my whole life I tried to share anything and people wouldn't listen, And to me, that's a big difference. Or getting a compliment, or for example, I went to my granddaughter's birthday party today, and everybody, all the kids come up and hug me and give me a kiss. And before, I could go to these parties and not one person would come and stand by me or come and say hi, or would literally just avoid me, or stay away from me. Some of the guys, the older guys, yeah, we would talk, but it wasn't the same, and again, it was all because of the energy, the imbalances within myself. And as I learned to clear that stuff out and let it go and forgave myself, because I did used to kick myself a lot sometimes.
That's a really great point. So let's clear that out right now, for you and for everybody listening, about beating yourself up, judging yourself, and blaming yourself for the traumas that you experienced in your life, because they were just there as awareness tools for you to get some more awareness. So everywhere you've ever experienced trauma, and everywhere you've ever blamed yourself, judged yourself, or kicked yourself for doing or being in doing anything that created that, or being in those situations, and everywhere you're projecting any and all that into the future and designing your reality around that, everything, all that is rich.
A funny thing, that was powerful. That one was, whoa, that one just came right in and washed off.
Yes.
And I wanted to share. Oh, I'm getting hot. I'm kidding. Hold on. I'm burning everything right now. That's one thing I wanted to share with you earlier. Oh my God.
I think we lost him.
A lot of the masculine energy. So, and because I've been feminine for so long right now, I know that that's what I'm moving into anyways. I already been feeling more of the masculine energy coming in. My body temperature started regulating a lot better than it was before. And again, right now, a lot of people don't realize that we've been in some major retrogrades, and even up to the 3rd of next month. Right now we're in retrogrades, and a lot of these conferences that we're in, a lot of people are in, is to do some of the clearing. Even myself, because one of my biggest things that I had issues was getting in conference calls and talking to people. And I know right now, this is what this is. It's getting me more accustomed to talking to people and sharing because I was afraid to share some of the information that I was sharing, or channeling some of the information, because I am my higher self. So when I start talking, it just comes. It's natural. It's not something that I got to shift into or meditate. It's just, I'm there. It just comes natural. And for some reason, I'm getting the word Reiki. When it comes to energy, it's not something that I've taken classes for. It's something that I might have took classes in prior lives, but all the energy work that I do comes natural. I'm being shown things, and as I'm being shown, I'll wave my hands, and I can move energy within the groups, within an individual, within a stadium. I've actually been taken to a stadium to do energy work on a mass group, and right away I triggered people around me, because back in the day I was tethered to too many people, because I hadn't realized that I needed to learn to disconnect, detach, and reground myself. And I didn't realize that some of these other individuals were assisting me grounding at the time. And when I did some of this energy work, and what I was guided to literally triggered the people around me. One in a good way, the other one in a bad way. But getting an idea, again, that I wasn't grounded. And another reason was what we're all capable of doing when we do the healings. Because we're all here, everyone here is capable of doing that. It's learning to trust the guidance within and believing. That was a lot of the biggest fears that I've had, is to actually do it, talk about it in a group session, and try to do some of these things. And then I would try to do it in a, like, where people weren't watching or whatever. I would try to do my energy work right there where I was being guided. And then I guess somebody was always watching me. The universe always had somebody watching me, because they would come after me, like, and I would go to like a meditation circle, and people would always say, hey, some amazing energy came in here, and etc. We never felt anything. And somebody would walk up to me, hey, what were you doing? Because I seen you do all this. And I was always embarrassed. I was shy, and I was afraid to talk. So right now, these retrogrades and all this stuff is helping me do some of this releasing and letting go, and just not caring, and just being myself, and just enjoying that freedom of being and living in the now. Remembering my old masculine self of being confident, and just adding the joy part to it, because I was always confident back in the days. Now it's just allowing that, I guess, to remember more than anything, as the masculine energy comes back, and not allowing it to influence me more and bring me out of balance. And knowing just to be present and staying in balance as those energies come back in, because that is very important in my process right now when it comes to integrating the energies. Because I am, one of the biggest things that I was shown is I am, and a lot of us are here, the feminine energy that we're carrying is very strong within us. And for the masculine men that are here carrying that goddess energy, one of the main reasons why we're here is because we're here to hold space for the goddess, the feminine energy within all women, all men, and allowing that energy to be present and amplify within each individual. So by those individuals that are doing the shadow work right now, especially the masculine men that are really doing a lot of that shadow work, thank you, every one of you guys. Because if it wasn't for you guys holding the space and allowing for a lot of these things, feminine energies to step up into their roles, that they might not be able to if it wasn't for a lot of us being around. So thank you to all you masculine men, and no offense to all you women. Trust me, I know you guys are doing your work. And thank you all you goddesses, because I would not be here doing the things that I'm doing if it wasn't for all the women too. And allowing, and especially all the women that's done the work before us, and did all the clearing and all the stuff that they had to get put into. And the memory that comes back in the old days is what we call the witches back then. And, they were burned as a stake, and all the stuff that happened. I am very, very grateful to all the women that's really throughout their history has stepped up and taken the blunt, taken the full force of that masculine, abusive, over controlling energy at times, because of the lack of balance within itself. So thank you for everyone that did all the work to allow my presence to even be able to be on the planet and to be able to do the work that I'm doing here today, along with all my fellow masculine men that are present and living in the now, and bringing that balance within each of them. Thank you guys, and thank you everyone. I am just so blessed and so grateful to be among every one of you guys that's here today, on this planet. So thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Okay, how are we doing, everybody? Are we closing it down? Or we got anything else? Any more last closing statements, questions, anything? We got 2 more days of this Divine Masculine and Feminine Rising Summit. The next 2 days, I believe, are 1 p.m. Pacific to 6 or 7 p.m. Pacific, both days, I believe. So we've got many great speakers, facilitators, healers, meditations, conscious conversations, and whatnot. So you guys got anything else? Nope. Good. Good, good, good. Thank you, thank you, thank you to everyone who's been a part of this. And I love you all. I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you. See you tomorrow.
Peace, love, joy, and abundance to you and your loved ones. Enjoy the rest of your day.
All right. Bye now.